Happy Sunday everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. And to the winner of the free game this week, your name's on the screen. You can save yourself 10% on any of the games you're about to see by using code SwitchUp to buy your eShop credit over at switchup.gg. You get 5% off and 5% back in SwitchUp coins. And this week we're going to look at 10 sale games and then a few Savaloys which are cheaper than the price of an English Savaloy, which probably isn't English, let's be honest. And then we're going to follow that up with the Indie Spotlight, which is a new episode. It's not a new episode, it's a new segment where we focus on an indie developer who has made something awesome. Alright, what are the best games on sale? Well, my name's Mark Walker. Thanks so much for coming back to SwitchUp. Now, let's find out. First up here in the UK, we have an obscene price on Slay the Spire. This is down to £6.79. That's 66% off, which is by far the cheapest it's ever been, and that's until October the 1st. Now, just to give you a bit of a backstory here, Slay the Spire is commonly held as probably the best roguelite deck builder that we have on any platform. It's such a nuanced game. This isn't one where you'll be solely relying on RNG, that being random number generator. Trying to climb that the tower is always challenging, and there are different relics that will improve your runs. Now, it might not look much at the surface of it. I mean, let's be honest, I wouldn't say it's an ugly game, but it's no oil painting. But everything, even down to the designs of the enemies, are functional, the effects that they put out. It's just quality, and it's been really hard for other teams to match it. Now, it's developed by Mega Crit and published by Humble Games. It holds an open critic rating of 89%, which says a lot. And just put it this way, the current completionist time is around 205 hours. I know that might send you running for the hills, but it really shouldn't. This is an excellent game and well worth adding to your collection. Alright, this episode is sponsored by the complete edition of Whole.io. It launched on the 23rd in America, and it's worth noting that it also will release in the EU region on the 30th. The complete edition features 9 different maps, with many items for you to swallow, 40 animated skins, so that you can make that black hole look a little bit more pretty. There are 2 multiplayer modes for up to 4 players in split screen. There's an endless mode where you swallow different things that are falling from the sky, loads of power-ups, some themed stickers for you to collect. It's very easy to control, one of those pick up and play and then not put down, and it's also quite simple. Now, if you're looking for a party game for the Christmas period, I'd say this one would be ideal. The whole thing fits into just 904 megabytes, and what I'll do is I'll pop links in the description and the top pinned comment. A big thanks to Whole.io Complete Edition for sponsoring this episode. Nice one. Interestingly, I was chatting to a mate the other day about Ori, and both the Ori games are on a nice chunky 50% discount. You've got Ori the Will of the Wisps and Ori and the Blind Forest. Now, he hadn't played the Will of the Wisps, so this is very convenient. I'm going to have to text him and say pick this one up. But yeah, Wheeler, if you're watching, grab Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's absolutely excellent. It is a Metroidvania, so I know you weren't hugely endeared by Hollow Knight, which does make me feel a bit nauseous, I have to be honest, because it's incredible. But you liked the first Ori game and you'll love this. Now, it has an emotive tale as the first one did. This time you're chasing after your missing friend. There are some cracking boss fights in here. There's a weird little race mode that's kind of shoehorned in there where you can race against the times of other players in certain sections, but it is a beautiful looking one as well. I think it was the Microsoft team? I know the developers Moon Studios, but I swear there was some Microsoft influence here. But yeah, whatever they did some hocus pocus, and it just looks and runs incredibly well on Switch. You're looking around 12 to 20 hours if you're going for a completionist run, so not quite as long as Hollow Knight, and that all fits into 4.3 gigs. I bit the bullet this week and picked up AI Somnium Files. I know everyone else and their nan has played it, but I haven't played it, and nor has my nan. Mainly because it doesn't fit into what I would typically play, and I know that sounds a bit closed-minded, but it's true. We all have things that we enjoy, and yeah, I didn't think, at least, that it would fit into mine. But I was completely wrong. It's very good so far. It's set within a near-future Tokyo, and you're on the hunt for a serial killer. You have to investigate different crime scenes, and it's another one of, there's quite a few games I've played on Switch where they're very stylish. And I think Spike Chunsoft have done an excellent job here. Now, I haven't finished it. In fact, I'm only like an hour and a half in, But from what I've seen thus far, yeah, it's going to be one that's going to move its way quite up my top 10 list, I think. Let me know in the comments if you've played it. Perhaps you can give a bit more information than I have. I know my description was a little bit rubbish there. But the whole thing fits into 10.2 gigs, around 25 to 30 hours to finish. And that sale for AI The Somnium Files goes on until October the 9th.
Look, the wall.
That happened at 3 a.m.
Sorry, by the way.
About Shoko Nadam.
I'm me, of course.
Wait, stop.
Do you realize how
Centrifugal force is gonna
I
tear it
am?
apart.
Stop!
I don't ever want Shadow. Must be.
I've been really tempted to actually pick up the Danganrompa series as well. At the moment, all the games are reduced massively. I think they're all down 70%. And it's one that Glen's been chatting about in our Interesting Games series. I'll pop a link to that in the description if you're interested in going and seeing what he had to say. But he picked this up in the last few months and he's absolutely loved it. He's blasted through the first game and the second one. And judging by these prices and the scores that they get on Metacritic, generally about 86 to 90%, they are well worth adding to your collection. I mean, the second game here is like £4. But yeah, I would say consider checking out the Danganronpa series at the moment while it's at these prices. They're on sale as well until October the 8th, so you've got a decent stretch of time to check them out, check some reviews and consider picking them up.
No, that's wrong!
No, that's wrong. No, that's wrong.
Blue Fire was very cool. It obviously takes inspiration from the likes of Hollow Knight, but puts it into a 3D environment, but it's actually not like Hollow Knight in many ways. It's a bit more like an action platformer that's segregated by like small arenas with an overworld that connects it all. But the world is called the Kingdom of Penumbra. The movement is nice and fluid, it's easy to control, which I've got to be honest, I do find quite difficult in 3D games. Like when it's 2D, I find platforming and things like that really easy. But that third dimension, I do struggle with. And the fact that I could do it as well as I could here, let's be honest, I had a few absolute clanging moments. But generally, yeah, it was alright. Now, I'm sure, if they haven't done so already, I thought there was a massive DLC coming out for this one. I mean, I think that might already be out, but yeah, you'll have to, again, let me know in the comments. Now, it's developed by Roby Studios, it's published by Graffiti Games, and it's just 5.1 gigs. A nice one, that. I certainly enjoyed it. And there is a physical as well if you'd like to go the physical route. I don't know if that's a code in a box, though. They really should say that, shouldn't they? That sale goes on until October the 5th. Trinity Trigger is down to its lowest ever price. It's 40% off, down to $26.99, which might sound like a lot of money, but it's a very good game. Now, this is very much an old school JRPG, except it's action based, so it's quick combat. It's all about different weapons that you can essentially, well, they're your triggers, so you can like spawn these different weapons. You can gradually find new ones to change up the combat. The biggest issue with this game, and everyone will always say it, is the AI. So the other people that you have in your party, they're a bit thick. In fact, they're as thick as two short planks. So ideally, if you've got some companions in real life to join you, it does make it more pleasant. I played this with my daughter, and then we had one AI companion who was like running into the wall, and together we had a right blast. Now, we do have a full review of it if you'd like to hear more details, but it scored well because it is a good game. I think in this kind of sale, yeah, it's much more appealing to pick up. You're looking at around 15 to 25 hours to finish, and there is usually a discounted physical at most places. That sale for Trinity Trigger goes on until September the 27th. That is the cheapest it's ever been. I bet most of you haven't heard of this one. It's Dust and Neon, and I think the reason you haven't heard of it, maybe, is because it just launched too expensive. Like, a lot of these developers priced themselves out of the market entirely to begin with, and then you just gradually watch these sales and they get lower and lower, and then they reach a price where everyone's like, oh, that looks interesting, I'll check a review. And Dust and Neon is excellent. It's down to £8.79, that's 50% off. It's like a Wild West futuristic twin stick roguelite shooter. What differentiates it is the way you have to like load each bullet into the gun. And I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure there was like some reward for doing that in a certain way. I know that might sound like that doesn't sound fun, but it's a simple system that just works well. Do you remember like back in Gears of War when you push the button at the right time, you got a perfect reload? I swear there's something similar here. It also controlled really well. I believe there's a cover mechanic, and there are 2,000 different revolvers that you can find. shotguns, rifles, and the campaign itself is around 10 to 15 hours long. It's really good, but yeah, as I say, like, they completely priced themselves out of the market at launch, so most people didn't play it. That sale is 50% off until October the 2nd. Nuclear Blaze is one that Glen was talking about today actually in a video that we did about games that you can finish really quickly. It comes from the team that brought us Dead Cells, which says an awful lot really about how good it is. But I think it might be like a subsidiary developer. It's actually from Deep Night Games, but I'm positive it's from them, so how that works I don't really know. But the thing with this is you play as a firefighter and you're obviously sent in to stop it. But during that, you discover something slightly unusual and a really good story kicks in. Now, it's got nice controls, very smooth, that really nice pixel art style, and it even includes a Hold My Beer mode, which adds in new hidden areas. Oh, and there are hidden cats that you can save dotted around the levels. Yeah, really cool, but very, very small. That's why it's in our fast finish list that hopefully you saw when it came out a couple of days ago. It's just 155 megs, take about 2 to 3 hours to finish. And as I say, it's the cheapest it's ever been. That's Nuclear Blaze at 35% off. Barjan. Now the kids pick this week comes from my daughter, and she has been absolutely loving Slime Rancher, the portable edition. I don't know how kids do it, but they manage to get into whatever it is you've got. It's a laptop, it's a phone, it's a high security vault. Like, they find a way in. And she got into my Switch, got into my back catalogue, downloaded Slime Rancher, and I'm like, how? How did she even find that? But she's having a blast with it. Now it combines a lot of the elements I guess that she would enjoy in games. First person isn't traditionally the way that she would play, but it has these like monster collection element to it, but also growing crops, raising what she calls our chickadoos or something like that. And it includes the DLC pack as well. You can earn money, upgrade your vac pack, that's that like gun thing. And then you use slime science to find rare resources, craft decorations, and create gadgets. Or, if you're like 10, you just run around screaming that you've collected all these things into a location, then you let them all out, and then you do the same thing again. So yeah, it's 1.1 gigs, seems to be a bit of a blast. And that sale for Slime Rancher goes on until October the 7th. That is the kids' pick. Alright, hidden gem time then. Can I find something that you've never played? Well, this week it's A Way of the Samurai story. Now, you might have heard of the Way of the Samurai series, and potentially not this one. I would say fans of that, don't look for the older games in this one. It moves away in a number of areas, but I actually really like what they've done here, and I think it may have been overlooked just because it didn't live up to those previous titles. It's a roguelite that starts out where you meet a swordsmith who has fallen into debt and his daughter's basically been kidnapped and used as collateral. What you're trying to do is save up to help, hopefully get her back. And this is where it gets a bit more interesting. Now, during the daytime, you'll be building yourself up, but at night you go out on these runs, and it's like a hack and slash dungeon crawler, but there are over 100 different weapons, and there are also 9 different fighting styles that you can use. It's completely brutal in terms of gore, but the town itself has 3 different factions, and you can choose how you interact with them. You can become an ally, you can completely betray them, or work somewhere in the middle. Now, if 2 of you have this, you can actually play co-op online, which is a lot more fun, but it doesn't have local co-op, which would be my biggest gripe. But yeah, really enjoyable. If you enjoy roguelite elements, it obviously has those when you go out on your runs at night, and there are some great boss fights in there. Now, the sale on this one is 80% off, and that goes on until October the 8th. It comes from Spike Chunsoft, and the whole thing just fits into 2.1 gigs.
Samurai story.
So then, probably one of my favourite sections each week, we have our Savaloy Selection, which are a series of games that are much cheaper than everything else we've looked at. Usually no more expensive than around £2.50, £2.80. The price you pay for like a Savaloy. It used to be like a Savaloy in chips, but it's too expensive now, so yeah, this is the way the world has gone. First we've got Neo Cab, which is really enjoyable. It's like a little narrative, futuristic cab driving simulator / adventure game, and where a lot of games say they have a branching storyline, this one legitimately does. Often some of your passengers will ask you to do certain things, and there's a bit of choice in the way that you approach those. Nothing dodgy. That sounded dodgy, didn't it? Now this one is on sale at 85% off until October the 1st. As a massive space fan, I am going to recommend Manticore Galaxy on Fire. It's no way near as good as Everspace that we have on Switch, but if you are a fellow space nerd, you might enjoy it. It's around about 8 hours long. It does run at 60 FPS, and if I remember correctly, this one was more like mission based and was a little more linear. But Deep Silver, they know how to make good space combat, and for this price, that's well worth it. That's 85% off until October the 1st. I have to mention Beautiful Desolation in the Savaloy Selection, or the Vetkoek Selection, because it is a South African made adventure game from an isometric perspective, and it's currently 95% off, just 89 pence. That is a ludicrous deal. I wouldn't say the game itself is the best. I'd probably give it around 70%, but for that price, yeah, definitely worth picking up if you like those old RPG adventure and isometric experiences. And then you've got Reventure. It comes from Pixelato Games, and it actually has 100 different endings in it. It has a very simple art style, but it's actually quite addictive. And at 80% off, yeah, you might want to consider that one, or at least look into it a little bit more. Our indie spotlight then is Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles, which comes from the developer Prideful Sloth. They also have another game out on Switch called Grow Song of the Evertree, which is actually a really nice little game, and that's also on sale at its lowest ever price, but it's only on sale for about another day. So yeah, if you do manage to get that in time, Grow Song of the Evertree is a really nice game where you have to craft what's known as world seeds, and then you can essentially grow your own worlds. Yeah, very cool. Building up the towns, exploring all those intricate little areas that you've made. But I do love Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles. That one's on sale at 40% off until October the 19th. It's like an open world hybrid again. This developer really do like making hybrids. There's elements of RPG in here. If you stick with this, it gets really good. There's fishing and crafting and rearing different animals, and it's got a very nice art style. Now, to give you the insight on the development team, Prideful Sloth are actually an Australian-based studio, and their approach, from their own words, is micro AAA. So they want high quality indie games, and was actually founded by two AAA developers, Cheryl Vance and Joel Stiles, who are joined, I believe, by John Northwood. Yeah, it's nice to highlight these small teams that manage to make things that look better than what a lot of the AAA developers have achieved with their games. Pokemon. So that's it for this week. As I said at the start, if you want to buy any of these, make sure you save some money. Use code SwitchUp over at switchup.gg. You get 5% off instantly on your eShop credit and 5% back in SwitchUp coins, and we get a tiny little kickback from Nintendo. Thanks to all of you that enjoy the content, to our Patreons, our members, the new members from last week. Hopefully you saw your names in the end of the video, and if you didn't, make sure you poke me and say, what on earth are you doing? And we'll get that fixed. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!